There comes a moment in adulthood when you look at your life and realize it wasn't designed, it just happened. You followed expectations, responsibilities, opportunities, or even survival instincts. Years went by, and suddenly, you wake up with this quiet question: is this the life I meant to build? That question isn't a crisis, it's a doorway. It's your mind inviting you to consciously shape the next 30 years instead of drifting into them. And the powerful truth is, redesigning your life doesn't require dramatic acts. It requires clarity, intention, and a willingness to listen to the version of you that's been waiting underneath all the noise. Most people don't redesign their life because they think it involves starting over, quitting everything, or reinventing themselves from scratch. But real-life design isn't about burning everything down. It's about aligning your future with who you actually are now, not who you used to be or who others expect you to be. The next 30 years won't be built by force. They'll be built by direction. And direction comes from getting deeply honest about what matters, what doesn't, and what's been quietly draining the meaning out of your everyday life. Here's something no one teaches you. Adulthood has no instruction manual. You're handed responsibilities, but not a map. You're given expectations, but not a compass. You spend decades making decisions you hope are right, only to discover later that you never truly defined where right was in the first place. Life design is the process of taking back authorship. It's deciding that your future is something you shape on purpose, instead of something you react to. And once you understand that, the chaos you've been feeling starts to make sense. You've been living without a blueprint. So what does a blueprint for the next 30 years actually look like? It begins with values, the non-negotiable principles that give your life meaning. Most adults have never defined theirs. They move through life based on urgency instead of importance. When you clarify your values, the noise gets quieter. Decisions become simpler. You stop chasing things that look impressive and start pursuing things that feel aligned. And alignment is the foundation of a life that feels like your own. From here, once your values are clear, the next step is vision. Not a fantasy version of your life, but a grounded image of the kind of human you want to become. Vision isn't about outcomes, it's about direction. It's about who you are 5 years from now, when you've been living in alignment consistently. What does that version of you think of the world? How do you structure your day? How do you treat yourself? What do you no longer tolerate? It is here that vision makes your future feel real, something you can walk toward instead of just wishing for it to happen. Now, after vision comes identity, the piece most people skip. Your life will always drift back to the identity you believe is true, not the goals you say out loud. If your identity says, "I'm someone who always struggles," then you'll struggle. If your identity says, "I'm someone who shows up, even small," your behavior follows. The next 30 years won't be shaped by force. They'll be shaped by the person you decide to become, and the small signals you send your brain every day that confirm that decision. This is where habits come in, not extreme routines, but small, repeatable actions that reinforce your identity. A 5-minute walk. Drinking water first thing in the morning, one chapter of a book, a nightly reset. These aren't impressive habits, they're foundational ones. They're the small bricks you lay that eventually build the structure of the future you want. Habits don't change your life because they're big. They change your life because they're consistent. And most people don't redesign their life because they're waiting for motivation. Because motivation is unstable. It rises and falls with emotion. What actually redesigns your life is momentum. Tiny actions that accumulate until the direction of your life shifts. When you act in alignment with your values and vision, even in microscopic doses, your brain begins to rewire itself. You stop drifting. You start steering. And your future becomes something you're actively shaping, not passively inheriting. Here's the truth most people never hear. You can redesign the next 30 years, but you only ever do it one day at a time, and in small, manageable blocks. And it is why we see long-term change happen through short-term alignment. If your next 30 days reflect your values, your vision, and your identity, your entire trajectory changes You don't need to overhaul your life. You need to shift your direction, one choice at a time. The next 30 years aren't waiting for a perfect moment. They're waiting for a committed one. So if your life feels unclear or heavy or directionless, hear this. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not behind. You're not lost. You've simply reached the moment where life is asking you to participate again, to choose intentionally instead of react automatically. The next chapter of your life is not written yet, and that's not something to fear. That's your opportunity. That's your blank page. That's your blueprint waiting to be drawn. If this resonated, watch more videos like this where I break down the process of designing the next 30 years using values, vision, identity, and simple habits. And subscribe if you want more content that helps real adults build meaningful, sustainable lives. And comment below, what's one value you want your next chapter to be built on? I'd love to hear your answer. And as always, stay happy and stay healthy.